say Shalom Akim, Yahweh Bashim Ashai, Bashim Pokadash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders, great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today were known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as and still are the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about lineage and who you truly come from. But let's read this first. This is 1 Corinthians 3:19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So I came across this post titled The Future of Humankind. And it has to do with this tennis athlete. Her name is Emma Raducanu. And it's written by this professor here who, again, I'm sure he thinks he's, being deep, and he's knows what he's talking about. But the truth is that this man has no understanding, right? Because you see, he claims that the future of humanity is what Emma is, right? An amalgamation of not only just her parents, but of the places she was born at, the places she's moved around to, how she is no longer a particular race or nation. She is simply just a human being, right? But you see, that's folly, right? That's not true, right? That's a lot of people used to say, and in fact still say, that they're half this or they're half that, or I'm a quarter Italian, I'm a quarter German, I'm a quarter this, I'm a quarter that. See, all that is wrong information. You see, the truth of the matter is it doesn't matter what your mother is, right? It only matters what your father is, right? Because you come from his seed line, right? It doesn't matter, as this woman, right? Her dad is Romanian, right? And her mother is Chinese, right? It doesn't matter that her mom's a Chinese, right? She's not a Chinese girl. She is a Romanian girl that simply has Chinese features, right? Plain and simple, right? And when you trace it all the way back, when you look at her parents, right? This is her dad. Who knows? He may be a Jake, possibly, right? Because, of her athletic prowess and whatnot, right? He's from Romania, which, if you're unaware where Romania is at, it's basically above Greece and below Ukraine, right by the Black Sea, basically one of the Eastern Europe countries. Now, this guy here, he's not your typical looking Edomite, right? Pale East European, right? He's darker, right? He looks kind of like an Elamite, but who knows? The point being is that his daughter is an athletic champion, right? She recently won. A new tennis champion has emerged, right? So you see that athleticism, that ability tends to be with the Israelites. Now, also another thing too is, if you look at her bracelet, if I'm correct, I believe that's a cross and stuff, right? But again, I may be wrong. But the point being is that, let's just say he is a Jake, right? Or it doesn't even matter, right? Whatever the point being, it doesn't matter what the woman, that you have a child with is. It simply matters what the seed line of the father is, right? Because, let's say he is an Israelite, right? That would make her an Israelite. Now, let's say he's an Elamite. Well, that means that this Emma would be an Elamite, right? A so-called Indian. But again, that's, it's not to know right now, right? Nor is it really important for this lesson, because the point of this lesson is to get back to the basics, right? Get back to how the Bible describes lineage, right? Because again, when you get into this truth of the Bible, you understand that that the Bible is actually speaking about lineage, right? And when you understand that, then you realize that the whole race, race mixing and the calling yourself by different nationalities and half this, half that is all a bunch of folly, right? The whole thing of, the man taking the woman's last name or the children being given the mother's last name, that's all a bunch of confusion and wickedness, because what it does is this detracts and ultimately tries to mislead lineage lines, but it doesn't matter, because ultimately it's all it's all through the genes, man. But let's just read this article, and we'll get a bit more into how much folly this is. So it tells you here. It says Emma Radenclu and the Illusion of Nations by Guido Giannasso. Right? It says a new tennis champion has emerged. It is fascinating to observe the dynamics taking place around this young lady. Emma's father is Romanian, her name is Romanian, and she speaks Romanian fluently. Hence, she is considered Romanian by millions of Romanians. But Emma has actually never lived in Romania. Emma's mother is Chinese. She speaks fluent Chinese, and in a recent video available on YouTube shows, hence, she is considered a Chinese hero by millions of Chinese who seem to forget that the PRC discourages international marriages. And it says, Emma was born in Canada, but has lived most of her life and trained in the UK. Hence, she is considered British by most Britons and was publicly congratulated by the Queen. But the British public that now celebrate her success is the same that voted Brexit, with the very objective to make it difficult for East Europeans such as Emma and her father to live in the UK. The reality is that Emma is not Romanian, Chinese, or British. She is much more. She is the outstanding result of the combination of Romanian talent, Chinese work ethics, and British openness and sport infrastructure. At the time when many countries are going back to very ethnocentric models and policies, Emma is the best evidence that national identities are fading and we must embrace a geocentric mindset. Emma Radenclu is the future of mankind. And no, she is not. Right? You see all this, national identities are fading. See, that's all that one world order bullshit, man. That's the same thing that was taking place in Genesis regarding the Tower of Babel and how all the nations came together under King Nimrod, right? This right here is basically propaganda to show you that they are trying to erase nationality, right? And they're using this woman as a poster child for erasing these borderlines, right? Even though, as I mentioned in the article, that the Chinese, the People's Republic of China, discourages international marriages, because you see the people at the very top of China, they understand that they are Moab, and they understand that their people should only be sticking with their people, right? Now, it doesn't really matter for these other heathen nations, right? Because again, when you get into the Bible basically talks about 18 nations, and this you can find in the table of nations written about in Genesis 10, right? And it basically breaks down to 18 different nations that are upon the face of the earth right now, right? Israel, being the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the 12 tribes, we make up the most important nation chosen by God himself, Israel, right? We are the true Israelites of the Holy Bible. This is why we say we're Hebrew Israelites, right? The Caucasians, right? The so-called white people on the planet, they are of the tribe of Edom, right? Or the nation of Edom, right? Arawam, as it tells you in Hebrew, right? Then you got Indians, Assyria, Syria, Arabs, China, Japan, Ethiopia, Egypt, North Africa, South Africa, Turkey, Russia, Greeks, Germans, Spanish, and Cyprus, right? here's all the biblical names. So if you want, go, pause the video, go through it, right? But these are the 18 nations which are upon the face of the earth. These are the 18 nations which the 195 nations which the UN recognizes today are all made up of, okay? And all those nations that we see today, or that we recognize today, the 195 nations, all go back to the 18 nations. And how do they go back to those 18 nations? Well, through the line of their father, of course, right? Through the Y chromosome, right? Because one thing that you see that men have in the replication process, right? In the process of begetting sons and daughters, is that the male is the only of the two species that have what's known as the Y chromosome. And the trippy thing is, man, is that when you look at the Y chromosome, can only be given by the father. So this is how you know that by tracing, or the patriarchal DNA, you could trace a man's lineage all the way back to his original progenitor, right? This is why we also do other things in our society when we're doing things righteously, by taking our father's last name, right? This is why children always have the last names of their father, right? If it's a righteous household, right? Also, when you understand that the man is the one who has the most of the power in the family structure, right? At least traditionally, right? It's because the children and the wife belongs to the man, right? Like the Bible says, man, that woman was created for man, not man created for the woman, right? Adam was created first, right? And the thing is that the Lord basically chose him, and then brought Eve in for Adam, right? And just to prove this, man, just to prove that everybody is of their father, right? Everybody comes from their father's lineage. You get this proof in Numbers 1 and 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upwards by their polls. You see, so it tells you, man, that you are to declare your lineage by the house of your father. And again, that ultimately ties back to this Y chromosome, man. You see, because again, this is what ties you to your dad. Okay, so all this thing about she's multinational, and it all it also depends on where you come from and all this stuff, and that nations are fading away. That's a bunch of lies that they're trying to push out, so that way people stop worrying about what nation they're with and why, and what that pertains to in the Bible, right? Ideally, they don't even want people to know what their biblical nationality is, right? Because again, when you look at that nation guideline, man, there's only like two people who have kept their names, man: the Ethiopians and the Egyptians. Or Lucky, let's get that real quick. When you look at this lineage, there's only two people here. Let's see. I take that back, man. Right? Basically, Ethiopians always refer to themselves as Cush, right? So Ethiopians understand that they come from Cush, man. Right? And Arabs also kind of understand that they come from Ishmael. When you tell them that they're Ishmael, then they understand what that means, right? But people like Japan, China, they don't understand that, man, right? And also when you tell the Negroes and Native Indians that they're the Israelites, they don't get that either, man. They can't comprehend what that means. But that's because, again, these are all the curses that are upon us. This is 1 Corinthians 7:31. And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passes away. You see, all these notions of you being mixed half and half, you're German because your mom's German, or you're you're white because your mom's white. That's all going to start going away, because you see the truth of the Bible is going to eventually reign supreme again on the world, right? When the Lord comes back and establishes the laws, us Israelites, the ones that are chosen to enforce this law, right, the 144,000, we're going to be the ones who are going to make sure that everybody understands that you come from your father's lineage, man. And it doesn't matter, what your mother is. Now, yes, your mom's going to influence what genetic makeup you're made out of, right? You're going to, have, your mother's features. You're going to have, her side of the DNA chain. But ultimately, from your pedigree, from the seed line, from where your soul comes from, that's going to be all dependent on your father's lineage, right? So again, no more, saying that, you're going to be half this, half that, a quarter to this, quarter to that. That isn't going to fly in the kingdom. That's not biblical, right? That's the fashion of this world, which you just heard is fading away, right? These are all things which are not going to be done in the kingdom. This is 1 John 5:19. And we know that we are of God, and the whole world lieth in wickedness, right? And that's the thing, man. This whole world has been miseducated, right? Miseducated to be misled, right? So this is why people don't have a true understanding, man. Don't realize that it is their father that they have to thank for their lineage, okay? So you got a lot of our people, whose father isn't in the house because of the curses, right? So what they do is they side with the mother, right? Apostle Tahar said last week that that there was I think it was just a general testimony, man, that there was somebody, or I guess he was in a camp, or he went to go listen to the brothers, but his mom was an Edomite, man. So he was gonna have a problem getting into this thing, man. Him not knowing that he was an Israelite because of his father, right? And it didn't matter what his mom was, right? But again, there goes those emotional ties. But again, I just wanted to share this, right? I just wanted to bring this back up because, again, it does not matter what your mother is. It matters what your father is, right? Because the lineage and everything goes through your father's lineage, right? You are what your father is. So hopefully this is edifying, Akim. Until the next time, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rukal Kodash, double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.